Radio.
And good morning once again. My special guest this morning is Mr. Steve Mitchell. And Steve has traveled extensively in his tribute to Elvis, and so many people love and appreciated the music of Elvis Presley. And Steve, so why don't you talk to us a little bit as we begin our conversation about how Elvis inspired you, Steve, as we talk about Elvis and the importance of Elvis in your life. Steve, we're talking, of course, to Steve Mitchell here on K Radio, Good Morning Caribbean, the weekend edition with L.T. Goodman. Steve, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, everybody. Doing real good.
Good, good. Tell us a little bit how you were so inspired by Elvis. Let's start right there.
Well, I saw Elvis when I was 8 years old. I saw him on Aloha from Hawaii, the original show, when it was first aired. And I was just a little boy, and I saw him walk out on stage wearing that jumpsuit and the perfect hair and the perfect face, and it just sort of took me over. And can't really explain it more than that. It was just like magic. And from that moment on, I was just a big Elvis fan.
Now, were you mimicking Elvis at the age of 8, 9, 10, and 11, or did you wait until you got into your young adulthood to start putting together your tribute?
No, I started actually with a hairbrush in the mirror, lip-syncing to Elvis and lip-syncing to family friends. And, they ignored me back then, but I had fun. It was just something I loved, and I just started doing as soon as I could, and it just transpired and sort of just took over my life. I guess most Elvis impersonators would tell you the same story. Sure.
Now, did you also, in addition to Elvis's music, did you also watch all of his movies, including Jailhouse Rock and movies like that?
Well, back then, we just had regular TV, Channel 2, 4, 5, so you had to wait for those things to come on. So, it was very rare that you got to see too much of Elvis. The 4 o'clock movies, you'd see Jailhouse Rock, or 2 in the morning, they'd play That's the Way It Is, another concert. So I would always be checking the newspapers, looking at TV listings. When is something going to be on? When is it going to be on? And no, I never missed anything when it came on.
Yeah. When Cindy, the president of your fan club, of the Steve Mitchell Tribute to Elvis fan club, told you that she had booked you to be on Good Morning Caribbean, you was like, why did you think the Caribbean audience would be interested in my tribute to Elvis? Tell me that wasn't one of the things that you first thought.
Sort of, but I think besides Muhammad Ali, I think Elvis is one of the most recognized people on the planet, and he's known everywhere. There's really very rarely a place you could find on the map that they don't know Elvis.
Great answer.
Caribbean to the Middle East, they know Elvis everywhere.
Actually, Elvis is very, very popular throughout the Caribbean, and particularly through our listening audience. I guess Cindy told you that since we're on the World Wide Web, we're particularly popular in Atlanta and the Carolinas and Dallas and Los Angeles and in Miami, and, of course, here in New York.
Sure.
Elvis is popular all over. We have a couple of renditions of your versions of the Elvis songs, but again, Steve, I think our audience would be really interested in hearing more about you. Where have you performed? Now, I know for a fact that you've performed at some of the local radio stations, and on Elvis's birthday, you often are called in as part of the tribute to Elvis. Is that right?
Sure. I've been on Good Morning America. I've been everywhere from Dallas to Texas, but mostly I try to keep it local because I got kids and I got a family, so it's very important for me to be a daddy. And if you're on the road, you can't really be a daddy. So, when I'm called to the road, I gladly do it. But mostly I like to keep it local, and I've really built up a really nice business, around the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area. I DJ and play restaurants and parties, and it's a full-time thing.
Yeah, no, I took a look at your schedule, your upcoming schedule. So why don't you talk a little bit about, before we hear your rendition of If That Isn't Love, why don't we talk a little bit about some of the other rock and roll performers you perform with? And then the second part of that question, of course, will be, I'm sure that you've been in other tribute shows where there were other Elvis individuals who were performing Elvis tunes as well. So let's start at the beginning. How do you channel Elvis and move from Steve Mitchell to Elvis before you go on stage?
Well, actually, once you do the hair and you zip up the jumpsuit, Elvis just transforms you. It just takes over. And I try to keep, a lot of me in the show also, because no one could be Elvis.
Right.
So I just try to keep it fun. But, when I get on stage and I start singing his songs, it's just an emotional thing. And you see people closing their eyes and drifting away with you. And, sometimes I'll be singing a song and I just drift away myself and I'll forget where I am. It's just a powerful thing for me, And it's just to see the people, in the audience having that same feeling is just very important. It's a special feeling for me also.
It's funny that you mentioned that because last week we had a Broadway actress on with us by the name of Yolanda Wins. And I asked her a similar question, but I added to the fact about the adulation of the audience when you're performing. Yeah. So why don't you talk about that special feeling when you're standing there and the audience is showing their appreciation for you and your talents? What kind of feeling is that?
Oh, it's an amazing feeling because you know that you're also tapping into their emotions and their memories. And Elvis is I think more than any other entertainer has a very special place in people's hearts. And if you do it right and they're watching you and you know that you're doing it right, you know that you've tapped into that. And if you're not doing it right, they'll be talking and, kind of like being polite to you but not really digging into you.
Yeah,
so the feeling of the crowd, I mean, I've played to audiences of thousands, and I've played to audiences of 10 or 15 major Elvis fans, and sometimes those are more gratifying.
Yeah, because you can actually personalize the experience, right?
Right, and you could see into their faces and see into their eyes and look into their eyes. A lot of people don't realize when you're on a big stage with a lot of people and lights, you can't see anybody. You just see a spotlight in your face, and you really can't tap into that emotion. You just got to try to do it the best you can, but you can't see them. You can't feel them.
Well, Steve, we appreciate that thought, and we appreciate what you've shared with us thus far. Why don't we listen to your rendition of If That Isn't Love, and then we'll come right back, and we'll talk some more to Steve Mitchell and his tribute to Elvis right here on Good Morning Caribbean on K Radio, powered by Callaloo.com. We'll be right back.
He left the splendor of heaven, knowing his destiny was a lonely hill of Golgotha, there to lay down his life for me. And if that is love, then the ocean is dry, and the stars in the sky, and the little sparrow can fly.
Weekend Edition. Our special guest this morning on K Radio's Good Morning Caribbean Weekend is Steve Mitchell. And that was a tune entitled If That Isn't Love. And Steve, tell us a little bit about that song.
Well, as a gospel song, and people that really know that Elvis's true passion was gospel music. And he claimed to know just about every gospel song that was ever written. And he won his only 2 Grammys for gospel music also.
Wow, I didn't know that. All the songs that he sung and he's known for, and the only 2 Grammys were for gospel songs?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That is pretty amazing. I didn't know that.
You could feel the passion in his voice when he sang gospel.
And when you're performing that song on your rendition, we could feel the passion in your voice as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, speaking of passion, Steve, I noticed that you do a lot of performances for special needs children. And can you tell us a little bit why you spend time doing that?
Well, they're special. You know, the amazing thing is that they know the words to almost all the Elvis songs, and they know all the Elvis. You can't fool any of those young men or women, and it's just an amazing emotional feeling, because they're just loving young people, and they love Elvis, and it just makes me even want to try harder. It's a big responsibility, I feel.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned before, and we appreciate those thoughts, you had mentioned before that you've done some traveling and that you've performed other places as well. Just off the top of your head, some of the cities that you've performed in. I've
been in Dallas, Texas, Richmond, Virginia, Atlantic City, been in Carolina, where else? And, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, the Poconos, Lake George. Just wherever I get a call, I tell them, just give me an address and I'll be there.
Yeah, that's a good feeling, because when you're a performer, you just like to know that you're wanted. I have a friend who's actually been on the show, who's a comedian, and once I called him at like 1 o'clock in the morning, just because I was up in the middle of the night, and I said, "Where are you?" He said, "I'm in Hawaii performing."
Yeah. I'm waiting for that call.
Oh, yeah.
I'm waiting for the Hawaii call. I'll be there.
So what is the competition like as a Elvis tribute artist? Because I noticed that you're part of the Elvis Tribute Artist Booking Agency. Are you competing with your peers for bookings, or is there enough work to go around for everyone?
Oh, yeah, there's so many great Elvis impersonators out there, but there's a lot of work, and it just keeps growing. The whole Elvis phenomenon keeps growing, and there is a lot of competition, but I wouldn't call it competition, because all the guys are pretty much friendly, and there is so much work that it's not like you're stepping on anybody's toes. Everyone has a little piece.
Yeah.
And and they're all a great bunch of guys, and we all have fun, and we like working together, because nobody could be Elvis. No one could really come close to Elvis, but we all create our own little piece of him. You know what I mean? So no one could say they're the best. No one's the number one. No one's the number 2. We're all just in Elvis's shadow, and we all know that.
Can I ask you what your favorite Elvis song is?
It depends on the mood. I mean, sometimes, I like to sing Bridge Over Troubled Water. Sometimes Polk Salad Annie, if I got a lot of energy. There's really no favorites, because, there's so many songs and so many different sounds that Elvis had that it pretty much depends on the day and the mood that I'm in. So no, really, every day there's a different favorite. Well, but I guess if I was stuck on an island and I had to choose one song, it would probably be "You Gave Me a Mountain."
Wow. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I don't have that one queued up. I was sort of hoping you would use a little ESP and read my mind, because I have "In the Ghetto" queued up.
In the Ghetto. I was going to say "In the Ghetto." "In the Ghetto" is a very emotional song to sing. And, that song was presented to Elvis. It was presented to a few other artists, but it was very it was a very hot topic at the time, and nobody really wanted to touch it. And Elvis decided to do it. It was one of his few message songs, but a lot of folks figured out, how could a rich white guy really relate to that? But people don't know Elvis grew up in extreme poverty. Extreme poverty. He would, no money, nowhere to live, no food, and he related very well to that song, and it became one of his biggest hits.
Wow, perfect segue, Steve. You're listening to L.T. Goodman with Good Morning Caribbean, the weekend edition, right here on K Radio, powered by Callaloo. And I'm talking with Steve Mitchell. He's an Elvis tribute artist, and he was telling us the story behind In the Ghetto. Let's take a listen to In the Ghetto, and then we'll be right back with Steve. I'm L.T.
Elvis goes by on a cold and gray Chicago morning, a poor little baby child born in the ghetto, and his mother cried, 'cause there's one thing that she don't need, it's another 100 mile feet in the ghetto. People, don't you understand? The child is a helping hand. It'll gonna be a real man someday. Take a look at you and me. Oh, we do lie and see. You will simply turn our heads and look the other way. Well, the world turns. And a hungry little boy with a runny nose stays in the street as a boy with the blows in the ghetto. And his hunger burns. So he starts to roam the streets and he learns how to steal and he learns how to fight in the ghetto. Then one night in desperation, the young man breaks away. He buys a gun, steals a car, tries to run, but he don't get far. And his mother cries as the crowd gathers round and the angry young man stands down in the street with a gun in his hand in the ghetto. And as the young man dies on a cold and gray Chicago morning, another little baby child is born in the ghetto. And his mother cried. His mother cried. Lord, his mother cried.
And you're listening to the music of Good Morning Caribbean, the weekend edition. I am L.T. Goodman. And with me this morning is Mr. Steve Mitchell, who is an Elvis tribute artist. And we're discussing Elvis, and we're discussing Steve. And Steve, that rendition was quite good. Very nice,
Thank you.
Steve.
Yeah, like I say, it just inspires you to do Elvis, and songs like that with such powerful meaning, it just makes it all more worthwhile.
Well, it's funny that you use the word inspiration, Steve, because on the phone with us right now is Betty, and Betty said that she has known you for over 20 years, and you sort of inspired her. Good morning, Betty. How are you?
Good morning. Hi, Steve. Good job.
Betty.
My
How you
Betty,
doing?
my best impersonator that's out there.
How you doing, Betty? Hey, just to let you know that when I was first starting out, Betty was one of the first people that really believed in me.
Wow. So, Betty, tell us about the show. How is Steve doing so far?
Phenomenal. I'm very proud of my Steve Mitchell.
Thank you, Betty.
And always will be.
Wow. So, Betty.
Always will be. I attend every show I could possibly can.
Wow. So, why was Elvis so important to you, Betty?
Because my late husband and I were very into the first Elvis, the original Elvis. We've seen the original many times. And when my husband passed on, and I just found Steve. My club, I had a club that I owned, as Steve could tell you, and I brought him to my club, and I kind of gave him a little push there to get to all these other venues.
And you know, Betty, everyone has to have someone behind them that believe in them and that has faith in them that they can do the kinds of things that they want to do. And to hear you talk about how you believe and you had faith in Steve and his talents is really, really nice. It says a lot. And
as a tribute to Elvis, you know, he is like number one, and he's very good, very. I mean, the shows that I go to and all, they're so happy with him.
Yes.
And I don't know how to express myself any more than that.
That's all right, Betty. You're doing a great job. Before I let you go, can you tell me your favorite Elvis song?
Hey, Steve, what is my favorite Elvis song? Well, I would say either Suspicious Minds or My Boy.
That's correct. That's when I walk into any venue that he's at, we start and he will play that. And, of course, the Odyssey, what is it called? I can't think.
That's okay, Betty. You're doing a great job. Great job. Betty, thanks for calling in. Thanks for listening to K Radio and Good Morning Caribbean, the weekend edition. See,
you're quite welcome. Take care, Steve, and
bye-bye.
Okay,
all right.
Bye. Thanks for calling, Betty.
Take care,
you're
Betty.
welcome.
Take care, Betty. So, Steve, one of your fans called up right in the middle of the show. It's funny, too, because I saw her number on the board, and I said, you know what, let me talk to her. So Steve, tell me again, when is I guess you work most around Elvis's birthday. When is Elvis's birthday?
Elvis's birthday was January 8th.
Okay. So, and we were talking before about the radio station. Apparently they do a tribute to Elvis, and you're the primary performer at a radio station on Long Island?
Yeah, B103. I'm good friends with the Wise Man. He's the program director and a DJ in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, like Betty said, and we were talking about, you know, people that believe in you and people that are behind you, and that really is so important because, you know, through Betty I met this woman named Terry, and Terry has been a big part of. Terry believed in me more than anybody, and if she's listening out there, I want to thank her. She pretty much brought me from an amateur to a professional, and it's that network of people that help you and are behind you that really make you who you are.
That's true. Why don't you tell us some of your upcoming dates before we bid you adieu?
Oh, well, I'm playing tonight in Sergio's in Massapequa.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing.
And Sergio's is a restaurant, right?
Yeah, it's a restaurant. And then I'm doing on the 14th, October 14th, the Copeg Library.
Uh-huh.
And November 7th, I got a sock hop, and I got a bunch of stuff in between. I just can't remember them offhand, but they can see them on my website.
Great. Well, Steve, on behalf of myself, as I hit the microphone, and on behalf of myself and all of my compadres here at Good Morning Caribbean, the weekend edition, we really want to thank you for being a part of our show this morning. Is there anything that you would like to share with us in parting?
I would just like to share my love for Elvis and my thanks to my supporting group, Cindy, Terry, Betty, my wife, who puts up with a lot of stuff, you know, and my family, and folks like you who give me this platform.
Well, I know you forgot Cindy Gray.
No, I said Cindy.
I missed Cindy. Her.
Cindy, she does so much for me. She's a big part of what I do right now. I'm president of my fan club, and I love her and thank her. And absolutely, I mentioned her.
I missed her. Yeah, Cindy is special, isn't she?
You know what? She's an amazing spirit.
She really is.
So much for children, so much for the church, and so much for me, and I can't thank her enough.
Well, Steve, again, I want to thank you for being part of my show here at Good Morning Caribbean, the weekend edition on K Radio, powered by K Radio. You have an open invitation to return anytime you like.
Beautiful.
And we hope you'll take us up on it.
Thank you for making me part of the family, and hope to see you one day, Caribbean.
Oh, you will. You'll see me. We've been listening to, and you've been listening to, and I've been talking to, let me say that correctly, to Steve Mitchell. And he is an Elvis tribute artist right here on Good Morning Caribbean, the weekend edition on K Radio.
K Radio. You're listening to K Radio. K Radio. You're listening to K Radio.